Hey, everybody. Welcome today. Today is Friday, and that's always a great day, but it's even better today. My name's Stu Turley, President and CEO of the Sandstone Group, and welcome to the Energy News Beat podcast. We have a big treat today. We have Rob Allerman, and he is a Senior Director of Power Analytics at Enverus. And I'm telling you what, I love Enverus, but we've been chit-chatting before here, Rum, and welcome to the podcast. I'm excited to hear your opinions.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
You just gave a talk at the Evolve event at Enverus in Houston this week. How'd that go?
It was great. We had a really good time, a good turnout. Really enjoyed it. Our power and renewables group is building out here at Enverus, and we're really excited about the future.
I'm sorry I missed your talk, but that's one of the main reasons that I want to give a shout out to John to help get this coordinated again after. But your talk was on ERCOT and the power and everything else. Can you tell us a little bit about how you approached your talk?
Yeah, so really what I wanted to do is not, only talk about Winter Storm Uri, which everybody has been, before Winter Storm Uri, nobody knew what ERCOT was. And now it's something that everybody knows and talks about.
But really, I'll tell you, the memes, Rob, the memes were funny.
Yes.
It was almost worth it just for that.
Yeah, no, and it's good because I think it educated a lot of people too, because I think before everybody just turned on a light switch and never thought really where their power comes from or had any thought. So that's good. I'm always appreciative of education and people understanding where their power comes from. So that's always good. But really what I wanted to set this up as is, we talk about the winter storm, but why were things so significant? And it really is kind of set up around Winter Storm Uri, but also COVID. And they actually are kind of related in a way, because as much of the country was shutting down, Texas was in a kind of a unique situation where we did briefly shut down, but we quickly reversed that. And that attracted a lot of people to move to Texas, and economic growth continued in Texas. And what that did is it created substantial load growth. And Texas has been one of the few states in the country before COVID, but even after COVID, to have substantial load growth. And so, in my presentation, I showed where we've had demand destruction, actually, which is load actually going down because of economics, the economy actually contracting, but in Texas, actually growing. So when we had that cold snap, demand for electricity was much stronger, and in theory, it made when we had the blackouts, it made it worse.
You know, Rob, when you and I were just kind of chatting before this, I think you bring up a great point. A lot of folks don't realize there's only 3 grids in the U.S. and Texas ERCOT, which is the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, that we're our own grid here in Texas. So this kind of opened up a whole discussion. People didn't realize there were 3 grids, correct?
Yeah, that's true, and I think a lot of people were perhaps critical of Texas for being that way, but I don't know if it would have made too much of a difference if we weren't if we were connected to the other grids, because we do have plenty of energy. We have plenty of natural gas, plenty of wind, plenty of solar. We are connected somewhat to the other grids too. There is transmission lines, not a tremendous amount, but there are some transmission lines. But the other grids, especially SPP, And MISO were experiencing their own cold snaps, and they weren't about to share a whole lot of power with us anyway. They had their own issues and their own blackouts. So,
You know, the one of the fun things is I believe ERCOT covers what 90% of the electrical needs in Texas, something like that. That's a lot of power. How many? It's bazillions of megawatts, or what was the doctor in Back to the Future? 1.2 gigawatts or 4,
gigawatts.
yeah. Anyway, it's a lot of power that we need.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so our thermal supply is for all of ERCOT. Our natural gas supply is about 56,000 megawatts. Our coal is about 15,000, and our nuclear is about 5,000 right now.
And so how much is our renewables? Because that varies as we go into that discussion, Rob, it varies, doesn't it?
Yeah, now our nameplate capacity, wind right now is just over 30,000 megawatts. Our solar is just about to hit 9,000, which is a pretty amazing growth just over the last 2 years. And our batteries,
You know, and this really, Rob, you brought it up. It was this disaster. I knew that we had wind when you drive out in West Texas and you see bazillions of, that's a technical term here in Texas, is bazillions. And when you see all these bazillions of turbines running around out there, it really brings home how much renewables Texas has.
It really does. It has a lot of renewables, but it was, and it's not the fault of renewables. But when we did have Winter Storm Uri, they weren't there, and that's just atmospheric conditions. When we have cold snaps or when we have heat waves, it tends to be the condition of the atmosphere.
So you were also saying, I thought it was kind of interesting, in a dramatically hot environment, the wind may shut down typically.
That is typically the case when we have these heat waves. It will, the atmospheres, we have these the gradient between the atmospheric pressure, or the gradient between the just basically high pressure. It's stagnant. We don't have the pressure gradients. Right. So, you just don't have the wind. Or what you'll get also is you'll have a lot of moisture south of the Gulf of Mexico, and that'll shut off that south wind, and then when we'll have that hot those heat waves over, especially like North Texas, and so we'll get that wind shut off.
What were some of your other key points? Because I think I got a side rail here on you.
No. I mean, I think the point is that we need to continue, as load grows, we need to continue to be cognizant of the new builds that we have kind of in the queue. And if we look in the queue over the next 12 months, we do see continued build out of renewables, but we don't see a lot of natural gas. In fact, right now in the queue, according to our data, we only see about 400 megawatts of natural gas, but we see
is that 400 megawatts total or growth?
That would be 400 of new natural gas.
Oh, new. Okay, great.
Yeah, but we see a substantial increase of so this would be that's in the queue, so that would be potential, that would include any projects that are under review too. So okay. That would be under review, that would be pre-construction, and that would be under construction. Most of the ones that are under construction are solar, which is about 4,000 megawatts, and wind, which is about 2,700 megawatts.
Okay.
What's under review would be batteries, which are about 6,500 megawatts. So we don't see a lot of batteries being built right now, but they are under review. But again, the thermals aren't there, and we'll see how things go with the battery storage.
With nuclear only being what 10%, I believe is what you said, something like that. You would think that that would be um, a bigger base load. 10% does not. Again, I don't know anything. That's why you're the expert, Rob. But if we have a flat line of nuclear, where does that play in? Because if we have storage coming in and there was only 6 megawatts of storage, I believe is what you said, right? Something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it depends on where in the grid you have the wind and the solar and then the storage and the nukes. That almost sounded like a kid's rhyme, everybody, never mind. Okay, that joke, I'm not even gonna laugh at my own joke at that one, Rob.
yeah,
So
your point is valid. What we'll need in this transition period, and we're going to see, how the batteries, how that plays out, and the technology of when when they can charge and discharge, and how many hours that takes.
mhm,
But really the overall point is that when the sun goes down and you have that severe ramp down,
right.
load continues to stay strong. Even under some weather conditions, the load can even be increasing while the solar is decreasing.
Mm,
And as we talked about earlier, when during some of these heat events, or these heat waves, won't be available. So, um, and 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 I think the overall discussion here is ERCOT prepared for the next URI, and
right.
ERCOT is getting prepared for the next URI, and they're doing a pretty good job of that. But there's just other conditions that are going on the grid
Right.
that are
So you
that
think that even though they're getting prepared, the kilowatt demand is still going through so that it doesn't matter how much they're getting, there's still a question with the demand load that keeps increasing. No matter what the weather is, it's going to be entertainment. Is that a
Yeah, I mean, and there's some other situations that are going on. There's a lot of discussion about Bitcoin coming into
Oh,
Texas.
yeah. Is it
There's
Fort Worth that just announced they're now going to start Bitcoin mining out of City Hall?
I hadn't heard that one.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Governor Abbott said, "Hey, we now have a city that's mining Bitcoin." I'm like, wow.
yeah, we're hearing as much as maybe 7,000 megawatt increase with Bitcoin mining over the next year, maybe a
That's a
couple years.
lot.
Yeah, it's a considerable amount.
Right.
It's concerning for sure. So we'll see if that comes to fruition or not, and if it's a pretty short period of time, so we'll see if that really happens. Now, they say that they will, when they get to when there's a certain capacity threshold, that they'll turn off, and that's supposed to be the key to this.
Okay.
So that's good. But again, I want to put some caution to the wind there.
Right.
That again, we have this load, this
Well,
incredible load growth.
and I'm hearing a lot, and there's a lot of great talk about ESG as far as Bitcoin mining, and that is using the trapped natural gas or any kind of power where they can get it reliable and off the grid. I know that Cat Galloway is really big on Bitcoin, trying to get it off the grid, Bitcoin mining off of the grid. I kind of like that idea.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, no, that would, especially with, as the burn offs and stuff like that are going on, that would
Right.
reduce that. So yeah, no, that would be great.
Um, and so when you take a look at the demand coming around the corner, do you think that natural gas plants may be the short term? Because aren't natural gas electrical plants the fastest they can come online? Or is that
Yeah,
a misnomer?
No, they are. There's some new natural gas plants that are coming in. There's a bunch that are being built around Houston, and they're almost like giant jet fuel or jet uh,
Jet
uh,
engines or
jet
something.
engines
Yeah.
that are being built, and they can come online in like 15 minutes. So they work
Wow.
really well with and there's some solar being built just here in Fort Bend County in
Right.
just south of Houston. And those go really well with the solar as this
Right.
sun's going down, but load continues to be strong to be able to
Yep.
deal with the severe ramp downs. It's it's not a new problem. It's something that we see in California.
Right.
California has this issue, and some of the reliability issues that California has
Right.
is completely related to this. So it's not like what I'm saying is something that we're not that we haven't seen.
Right.
It's exactly the same kind of issues, and
Well,
that's why California is so frantically trying to build batteries,
right.
and we're doing that here too. But the
Rob, let
load,
me throw a question here on California, since California is an interesting cat out there as far as they got what I think one nuclear, one coal, and then a lot of hydro, and then a lot of solar and a lot of wind.
no
Um,
coal,
do I?
no coal. They don't have any coal.
Oh, I thought they still had one coal plant.
No.
They killed it too. So
Yeah, they've well, they used to have Navajo, which was in New Mexico, and then Los Angeles Water and Power would import that from New Mexico, Arizona area, but yeah, they stopped doing that.
oh, okay, cool. So nuclear, the Biden administration came out and said around the whole world is now embracing nuclear. Do you see any new plants being built in Texas or in? Do you think they're going to? There's two questions here. Do you see any nuke plans coming around the corner for Texas? And do you see them even because they were going to shut that nuke down early, kind of like what New York did, I think was the Indian. I'm not sure if it was the Indian Point. They had Indian Point 1, 2, and 3. They've already shut down 3, and they were going to shut down 2. And so it seems kind of silly to shut down a good reactor.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I haven't heard any plans of new.
Okay.
Um, do I think that's a good idea? Absolutely. I think it's a really good idea. It's no carbon.
Right.
It's reliable. Yeah.
Provides a steady base load, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think there's some new technologies that look really interesting too
Yep.
that we should be looking into. Yeah.
Now, would nuclear be was it the mini nukes, the modular nukes? That seems to me a safer move than batteries, because I always see these memes or TV shots of batteries blowing up. And so, how bad are the lithium batteries?
Yeah, I'm not, that's a good question. I don't know too much about the safety. The thing I've done quite a bit of reading on is the lithium, the lithium mining, how hard that is.
Right.
And the Biden administration is doing a lot to try to get to increase that mining here in the United States, so that they're trying to at least get that going. But yeah, there's a lot that goes into that, and it's really expensive.
Yes.
Um, so again, I mean, to take anything out of our toolbox doesn't seem to be
Right.
really smart, especially something that's a not no carbon
You
resource.
bet.
That's
Well, what's coming around the corner for you, Rob, with your new reports, or what's coming around the corner for this next quarter?
So as far as we continue to put out our publications. We do daily publications to discuss market conditions for all of the ISOs. We really focus on congestion that's happening in all of the different ISOs.
Okay.
Interesting things that we keep seeing is just the way ERCOT is managing the grid. They are doing things on the grid that they haven't really done in the past. They tend to be rucking units, turning units on
Right.
a lot more, and not just letting the market take care of things through like the ORDC adders and things like that.
Okay.
So
What are
that
those?
so what ERCOT has is they have when when we get to a certain low reserve level, there'll
Right.
be a price adder, and that price adder is increases the prices to make to a certain level to, and I can't show you on a graph. I wish I had a graph here, but those price increases send a signal to the market to turn on natural gas units mostly,
Right.
um, and to take care of those capacity issues. But what ERCOT's been doing lately is they've been just going to a unit and saying you're on, and
Okay.
turning it on. And so so they've been keeping prices depressed.
Okay.
And so one of the things I did when I did my talk, and this is something that we've been talking about in our reports also, is warning people units
Right.
are going to be A-trucked, is that they've used this ORDC adder as a tool to incentivize natural gas plants to come to Texas.
Right.
As long as they keep doing this rucking of these units, they're actually discouraging natural gas
Oh,
plants to come to Texas, because they're keeping the prices somewhat depressed.
right.
So as we've had this whole discussion about we need more of these plants to come here,
Right.
they're kind of making a mess of things. But the reason they're doing is because they're so afraid of anything happening to the grid, to cause grid instability because of Winter Storm Uri. So
Wow.
it's kind of a double-edged sword of what's going on right now.
So, and I believe when we were talking at the beginning, was it 2011 or 2012 when that really bad heat storm hit? So that could be another test that we have not had yet on ERCOT.
That's right. Yeah. 2019 we came really close to having some brownouts, maybe blackouts, because it got really hot, but
Right.
not even as close as 2011. And ERCOT's seen nothing like the heat wave we had in 2011.
Okay.
We do have a really bad drought in Texas right now.
Right.
We do have we have a La Nina year right now.
Right.
2011 was a La Nina year, so some of the analog years that we look at look really similar to 2011. So
Ooh.
it is a kind of a cautious tale to keep an eye on.
Wow.
See how things go. So
Um,
we'll definitely be keeping an eye on the drought and see how things are.
well, if ERCOT fails, I'll be calling you and, do you have a generator? Everybody running off their Teslas then, since you can run off, was it a Ford 150 or something? Just plug your house into the
Yeah,
Ford.
there you go. Yeah.
I think that'll work.
Yeah.
But we got about 5 more minutes. So if you were talking to ERCOT, and what would you say to them?
I mean, I think I would say that, generally, I think they're doing a good job in getting prepared for
Cool.
for what they saw with the winter storm. I think they've done a really good job with getting with deeming some of the gas, some of the gas compressors and the gas pipelines as critical infrastructure. I think that was super important. That was that's really key for what we had with the winter storm. I think some of the new demand response changes will be good. I think, keen on those are is a really good idea, reducing load that way. So no, I think that's just it's good, for sure. I would like to see, um, the market take care of some of these things.
Right.
I'm a market person, through and through. I like to see the market handle
Right.
these things, and that's the way ERCOT's always been. And I understand their hesitation because of what happened, but I
Right.
think the market can. I think the market can work, and so I'd
Right.
like to see that kind of come back. And I think that's the general sense. I think of the market in general is just let the market, uh, be the market.
Cool.
Let the market set the prices.
Well, Rob, thank you very much for stopping by, and I love this education on ERCOT. I think it was really good because I learned some things in this conversation, and I'll have all your contact information in there on LinkedIn, your home address, and everything else. So if people lose power, they can come over to your house. And no, I'm kidding on that, but I'll make
Yeah.
sure your contact information in there. I love Enverus, and I absolutely love the fact that we got together, everybody, at that meeting this week. I mean, it was absolutely wonderful to get to go to Evolve, and I'm glad that you had a good talk. So thank you very
Thank
much.
you.